Buddy, thanks for joining me. Forgot to zip up my fly this morning. All right, so I'm headed out. I have some things to do. Um, I have somebody sleeping in my truck because the person is homeless. So I've opened up my truck for now, and then um, the income's coming, and then this person can get an Airbnb. So I'm looking to help with some real solutions here. So, yeah. So, I want to talk about churches that are selfish for a minute. So, I had a situation with my vehicle. I have a video about it. Got a third opinion yesterday. And the mechanic was like, oh, you have a couple months with this before you have to worry about it. And I went out in the shop and I'm like, show me what's going on. Because in my head, I feel like any minute this thing is going to go and I'm going to get in an accident. And I actually feel like I should probably park it. And when I had gone to one garage, he's like, yeah, probably by next week you should probably have it done. Christian Garage, right? So this is where I got my thoughts from. So then I go to this place and I asked to actually go out there yesterday and I saw it and had it explained to me. And I have a few months before I have to worry about this. Big difference, peace of mind, right? So I'm like, good, it's not such a big emergency. I can handle it. So, meanwhile, here I am thinking I'm in an emergency situation and call my church, my family church, right? Because I've called other churches and they're like, well, do you have a family church? Because they should be taking care of you, right? That's what the Bible says. It says, not only should a church be looking out for other people, but especially in your own household of church, there basically should be no needs. People should be taking care of each other. So I Facebooked my pastor. He was on his Facebook. I saw him on there and I'm like, look, hey, I'm like in an emergency situation here. I could feel like I was sliding, right, with my truck. I could feel it in the wheels. So I'm like, I need like an emergency help here with this thing. You know what I got? I got Melissa, I'm on vacation right now. And then I got, we are trying to watch the budget very carefully this year. And, we have these people on the budget committee. And I'm like, did he just hear me or did he not? I'm like in an emergency and all he's thinking about is his budget, So I had gone to the budget meeting as a member of the church and, there is definitely money there to help, right? Definitely. So, so then I was supposed to help out at the detention center. And I'm like, I called the person in charge. I'm like, look, I can't really help you because nobody's helping me. I can't take my vehicle there. So I left a message there. And then someone at my church goes there too. And I let her know. And she's on the finance committee. I'm like, look, if you can't help me, then I really can't help you, So I said to this pastor, I had said, oh, I had no idea that you were on vacation, which I didn't. There was no communication. And I said, sorry to bother you. Take care. And I meant that. It's like, yeah, I won't be coming to this church because not only that, but they don't have anything for Sunday school. I have one of my sons who bent over backwards with his own money trying to get a Sunday school together with our neighborhood kids too, trying to get something together for the kids, and he didn't want to do it, he didn't want to put the effort forth. So my son ended up in a church where they have a huge Sunday school, huge outreach for kids, right? You want to get kids when they're young. So this lady texts me. I'm like, hey, I'm not going to be doing the detention center because basically I don't have help. And she's like, well, we're not doing anything with our budget for 3 months until we see what's going on. And I'm like, you have this much money here, you have this much money here, and you don't want to help somebody? especially a member of your own church, and it's not entitlement because I'm like, my sons have been, serving above and beyond too. It's not just, me. It's like, you know, my family has, pretty much been the backbone already in this church. Without them being in the ministry and serving in the music, there would probably not be much of a worship team. So that helps the church, right? And I said, so I see how it is. I see how it is. When you want something, we're there for you, but when we need something, another story. So, so I won't be going back. I won't be going back. I just could not even believe that I wasn't even asked the details. Well, is this an emergency? Let's come up with some ideas. Can you hold on? Can we give you a ride? Can we, all this stuff that could have happened. So I want to say there's, a verse in scripture, Cain and Abel, right? Cain kills Abel. And he says, God says, where's your brother? And he's like, what am I, my brother's keeper? Am I my brother's keeper? Why are you asking me? Same attitudes in the churches, same kind of spirit. I've called tons of churches, and it's great to be in this position because you really get to see what goes on behind closed doors at the churches. When you go to church, and as I grew up, I had everything I needed. There was really no need when I grew up. Everybody was a close-knit community, close-knit family. There was no one who really had a need. If you needed something, people were there. People were like, oh, I can do that, or I got you there, or I got you back. If I had somebody coming over and, my mother had like everybody over all the time. You want a coffee? You want something to eat? Just basics, right? So, it was a lot to take care of everyone, and I think, definitely had some holes in my childhood from being out there so much, but there is a balance where you take care of other people. So, they're just like, unless, it's food for the day or a shelter for the day, we don't really, help people. And unless it's a member who maybe has a dire need, we don't really help. So I was like, whoa, I cannot get on with that vision of the church. No way. Not when we see so many people have needs. And it's pretty much anti-gospel to me too, because Jesus died for us, right? Good thing Jesus is not like this. I was working with someone with my nonprofit, and they're like, geez, good thing Jesus doesn't have the attitude of these churches. He didn't just help us once. He helps us every single day with our needs, right? So I said, see, you basically had someone from the church say, oh, are you still coming, to our thing on Saturday, our New Year's thing? I'm like, count me out. I'm busy. Too busy for you, basically. And, I don't have a problem with it, because when people are too busy for you, it's kind of reaping and sowing. And when I'm going to this church and they're in their four walls and I'm like, oh my goodness, these people don't even ask, how are you? And I have to be the one to cultivate and go up to someone and say, how are you doing? And it's just, I try to cultivate, and it's just like, oh, well, I this and I that. And good manners would say, you say back to somebody, how are you? Right? Those are good manners. So we're missing the basics in churches. When the churches are dying, nobody's getting in people's lives to say, how are you doing? How can I pray for you? Da 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 da. And just a short point to this is I had someone from New Hampshire contact me yesterday. Old friend from back in elementary school contact me, and the person needed encouragement, and I was not like, oh, wait a minute, I'm working, I'm door dashing right now, don't bug me. I wasn't like, oh, you know what, I'm actually thinking of going on vacation, so don't bug me, or, contact me in 3 months when it's good for me, No, I dropped everything. And I was like, the person's like, call me when you have a minute, I'm in a mess. I'm like, yeah, calling now. And we had a, conversation. And we do get in messes in our lives. We do get in messes. I had a weird dream last night that it was probably from this call. I had a dream that I had stolen a truck, and once I got in there, because I had some kind of need, I had stolen a truck, and once I got in there, there were like all these shifts, and I couldn't figure out how to get to work. So I had called my husband, and he was like, too bad you got yourself in this mess, and all he did was condemn me. But anyways, I woke up from the dream, and it was just so weird how it related to life. But no, I reminded this person who they are, who their identity is, and what type of person they are. So when you have, when you're in a mess in life and you have people around you trying to tell you, no, you're actually like this, or you're actually, accusing you of stuff, you have to be that friend who says, I've known you all, for ages, and this is not who you are. And I'm going to speak truth into your life, and I'm going to remind you of who you are, because you are that good person that I know. So I just said, I'm so honored. I'm so honored that you called me during your time of need, and I am honored that you have shared this with me. This is the attitude we want. We want to be there for one another and be like, what can I do for you? How can I serve you? How can I help you? You are valuable to me. I appreciate you. When I go to McDonald's, there's this lady who always is like, I appreciate you. She just says it with thank you for coming to McDonald's, and I appreciate you. Those words are like gold, right? So we have this spirit going around. It's just a spirit of self, self. And a lot of people do make their lives, which they have a choice to make their life and make it how they want, but many times they make their life so in such a way that it becomes an idol. It's like, this is our life and this is how we live, and we're not willing to come out of our four walls to help other people. And when, there's nothing wrong with choosing a nice quiet life for yourself, or to be centered, or to be like, okay, I enjoy, the life I have. But when it costs other people, that you're not going to be there for them, then it becomes a problem. You really want to be there for other people. And it doesn't matter, in a church, if giving is low, there should be a cushion to cover that, because there are times, that giving is low and times it's high, etc. So I did challenge this woman on the finance committee. She's like, oh, you don't know the budget. And I really don't need to know a budget. I was at the meeting, I know enough. I don't need to know every single line by line. But I said, I'm going to challenge you to give. That's what I'm going to challenge. And this is a church that, this is a church, right? And we need to be giving. And like yesterday's video, we have 10,000 people who are homeless right down the road. And I said to her too, this is an unusual time for people with COVID, and the rents are high, evictions are high, etc. And when you don't have a church that wants to help, I will not invest my time in there again. So this is interesting, because I come from a place of privilege in many ways. I've had a family, big family, people who have, I've been well taken care of. And then when I've gone through these trials, you go to church and you think, okay, the money's going here or the money's going there, and then when you get on the other side of it and you need help, you're like, wow, look at what they do with the money. Like what I've seen with a lot of churches is just, oh, no, we can't really help. We just give. Our money goes to this place, and that's how we give. Well, did you know that this place doesn't really help? No, they don't. No, they don't. They have a lottery system, and I'm thinking of Mercy's Gate over here. They have a lottery system. People are waiting in line, way down the road. It's only on a Monday night, and if you happen to get the one rental assistance, it's like winning the lottery. So I'll say to them, did you know this is how they are? Oh, really? Yeah, this is how they are. And so because a church will throw money at an organization, they think they're doing God's will. They think, oh, we're good. We give. Look at us. We give, when you don't know the details of what that organization does. So shortly after deciding, yep, I'm done with this church, we went backwards, and there's nothing coming back. I had heard from a job. And on top of door dashing, I've got another job next week. So God is the one who provides. So don't depend on the churches. I had a church in New Hampshire. I said, hey, I can use some help with heat. The pastor was right there for me. I mean, he was like, what do you need? I mean, he was right there, and that's the way it should be. I mean, you're part of that church, right? So, but don't depend on a church. You're depending on God. You're depending on God, whether it's, people in your life, whether it's a church, whether it's a job. It's really from God. It really is. So, but do look at the churches, do look at what they do, and if you can't get on board, and what I said at the budget meeting is, I'm like, we have churches closing all around, and what is your vision? What are you doing with the money? And right now, they really don't have a plan for Sunday school or how to help other people. And I was willing to say, look, I even said, look, we need Bibles, and that can go in the bulletin. And there was nothing coming back really about that. I said, can we start a homeless, feed the homeless in this church? Well, we can't because of insurance. Can we do this? No, we can't because we don't have insurance. Can we do this? And there's really no effort put forth to really have a vision. And Proverbs says, the people die with no vision. So we need to definitely be careful which churches we're going to, which ones we're investing in. And sometimes it takes time to see it. You can go to a church and you can just be like, okay, I'm not committing until I test them and I look and see what they're doing. So you can quietly go, and it doesn't mean you're going to be committed until you know the church inside out and you want to see the budget. I even said, what are you doing with your phones to someone? Because I thought the phones were high. I said, you can go to Mint Mobile and get your phones cheaper. Well, we know what we need with our phones. And I thought, well, it doesn't sound like they want to be pretty frugal in that area. So, yeah, I wouldn't support a church that is not being frugal with their own budget and then being very generous to the community. So that's kind of my standard, and it won't change. We are to look out for one another in this life. Okay, thanks for joining me, guys.